And I wanted to have you on today because there's this crazy story out of Amazon and Europe in specific. And honestly, I kind of think a lot of this stuff is going on in America anyway, as you know. But for those of you who haven't read it, let me just show people what I'm talking about here. It's from Vice, and it is titled uh, Secret Amazon Reports Expose the Company's Surveillance of Labor and Environmental Groups. This is specifically in Europe. I'll read you just a little bit. A trove of more than 24 internal Amazon reports reveal in stark detail the company's obsessive monitoring of organized labor and social and environmental movements in Europe, particularly during Amazon's peak seasons between Black Friday and Christmas coming up. The reports obtained by Motherboard were written in 2019 by Amazon intelligence analysts who work for global security operations, the company's security division. Documents show Amazon analysts closely monitor the labor and union organizing activity of their workers throughout Europe, um, as well as environmental and social justice groups on Facebook and Instagram. They also reveal an Amazon spokesperson confirmed that Amazon has hired Pinkerton operatives, the notorious spy agency known for its anti union busting activities, to gather intelligence on warehouse workers. So, again, we should say this is in Europe, but pretty sure it's transferable to America based on the things that have been reported already. Christian, based on your experience, what were your thoughts reading about, I mean, CIA level surveillance of Amazon workers in Europe?
Um, yeah, this is worldwide. Europe is doing kudos to Europe because they're really going after this company. They got them in trial for the antitrust hearing right now, facing a $28 billion fine, as they should. 10% is only $28 billion to Jeff Bezos. That's pretty much nothing. But they're doing a better job over there than they are in the States. And I'm not surprised at all. This company obviously has the CIA surveillance capability. They censor a lot of the stuff that I even put on my own Twitter page. So I'm pretty sure they've been watching a lot of these organizations over here in the States as well, just as much as they're doing over there in Europe. I'm not surprised. I'm more disgusted than anything.
And the thing that to me is most troubling is it's kind of like for if there is talks of like a general strike or how do we organize this and that, but essentially, the in the 1950s and 60s you had strong labor unions, partly because of the numbers, but also because the bosses couldn't know every single step of what you were doing, and they couldn't they didn't know your strategy fully. They might not know exactly when you were going to strike, those kind of things. But this is kind of like basically cutting it off at the head, even before
Yeah, yeah,
and organized labor Amazon workers are able to fight back in Europe.
yeah. Absolutely. This is crossing the line. They're watching your social media. They're tracking, your private Instagram accounts. They're doing everything. They're going above and beyond of what an employer should be doing overall. Your employer should be you clock in, you clock out. You go about your life. But instead, they're invading your privacy. So some degree, they're once again tracking your social media, seeing who you're talking to, trying to block certain information from getting to you. And people wonder why you see these propaganda commercials all over the place. It's because that's what they're meant to do. They're meant to target you, brainwash you to the point where people actually feel like they need Amazon. And that's what we're dealing with in the 21st century. But as you can see, this company is way too powerful and they're controlling the market and it needs to be demonopolized. This is what happens when you don't demonopolize these type of corporations.
And why do you think it is that Europe and the European government seems to be going at Amazon, whereas the United States, or as I call it, United Corporations of America, I mean, nothing. You have these show hearings with Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos and the Twitter CEO, but there's not, as of now, there doesn't seem to be any teeth underneath it to actually go after Amazon. Not just for the fact that they've done illegal things as a monopoly, like stealing other companies' intellectual property and ideas and software, but and
Data.
data. But now, I mean, basically tracking not only its own workers but outside organizations. Why does the United States government just look the other way?
Good question. Good question. You know why? Because they got their money in their back pockets as well. That's what it is. Corporate ties. In UK, at least I can say they're unionized as well. Their Amazon facilities over there are unionized. Over here, all the I think it's about 300 facilities, fulfillment centers across the nation. They're not unionized. None of them. Not one of them. And this is the difference between being protected and unprotected. We're unprotected as essential workers. And that's a shame for us to be a necessity and be deemed as essential workers. And we're supposed to be the lifeline of the whole pandemic right now because we're on the front lines. We're delivering packages. We're delivering essential needs. But we're not being treated as essential workers. We're unprotected. We're getting fired. We're being exploited. We're living paycheck to paycheck. We have no Medicare that is going to be covering all our medical expenses, especially for those with underlying health conditions. And in the UK, they are unionized. And if you're not leading up to their demands, then they will strike back. They will shut down their facilities. They will take it all the way up to the courts, and they fine the company. They hold them accountable. We don't do that over here.
And it seems to me also it's not just that they're surveilling employees, but they're also trying to squash even the most minor political dissent. Shama Sawant out in Seattle, she's been like one of the few politicians out in front trying to tax Amazon. And now, after Amazon spent $1 million on trying to get rid of her in the last Seattle city council race. I mean, $1 million is a hell of a lot of money for a local city council race. Now, all of a sudden, she's facing a recall petition to recall her as a city councilman. I tend to think Amazon is behind that. So it's kind of like their tentacles is not just in surveilling their own employees,
Absolutely.
firing and scapegoating you when you were just trying to get safe conditions during a pandemic. Now they lost democratically. They couldn't get rid of her in Seattle by spending over $1 million. Now they're trying to recall her.
Yeah, that's exactly why we're heading out there. Indirectly, I don't want to say it over here, but because they are watching her. And I know that for sure. And I just want to say that workers do stand in solidarity with that bill. And anybody in Seattle should support that bill. We need that bill. That bill is a catalyst for what we should be doing nationwide. Give Joe Biden and Kamala Harris some thought on what type of what tax wealth that they should implement on the wealthiest. So yeah. Another thing that we have to think about is Jeff Bezos. After Joe Biden got elected, he reached out or he put something on Twitter to show congratulations. It's kind of like they're licking their chops, getting into the Democratic Party and getting into these politicians' back pockets. So we got to make sure we expose that, stand in solidarity with the bills for the taxing the wealth, and also make sure that we hold our elected officials accountable as well.
I want to read just a little bit of this. Hold on. So in Europe, Amazon, the documents, here we go. Amazon's approach of dealing with its own workforce, labor unions, and social and environmental movements as a threat has grave implications for its workers' privacy and ability to join labor unions and collectively bargain, not only in Europe, but should also be concerning to customers and workers in the United States. Amazon intelligence analysts appear to gather information on labor organizing and social movements to prevent any disruption to its order fulfillment operations. This new intelligence reports obtained by Motherboard reveal in detail how Amazon uses social media to track environmental activism and social media movements in Europe, including Greenpeace and Fridays for Future, environmental activist Greta Thunberg's global climate strike movement, and perceives such groups as a threat to its operations. The piece also went into the fact that they were basically monitoring how many labor meetings or union meetings, their workers. And this is the most rich part about it, because you got Jeff Bezos, he likes every now and then to create like a pre-K school for underprivileged kids, or like Amazon creates an initiative to fight climate change. But then they're turning around and basically surveilling real climate movements. I bet they're surveilling the Sunrise Movement too here in the United States, because the things that Jeff Bezos does is for show. His philanthropy for certain causes and groups is for show, but they are actually surveilling, i.e., suppressing real movements, because frankly, Amazon is one of the biggest contributors to the climate crisis outside of the Pentagon.
Yeah, I mean, he just donated what, $800 million last week. But once again, I want to go back to that point. Just the fact that they're surveilling these different movements. You was at the last action I did out there, and you covered the entire event, what we did in Beverly Hills. And what did we do? For the first time in probably a long time, or the first time ever, at least what's going on in the last several months, we included the environmental movement. We had Extinction Rebellion out there. We had a social injustice. We had members from Black Lives Matter out there, teachers unions as well, and the labor movement. We combined all these movements and they surveilled it. We went to Jeff Bezos' residence, and what happened? He sent out a drone that scrambled everybody's service so that we lost connection from the rest of the world as we were live streaming. So this is not a coincidence. This is exactly what they're doing.
Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com, where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.